Even having to accumulate firepower capable of defeating the enemy, the contradiction between that and the secrecy inevitably made the heartbeat even louder. Absolutely cannot trigger limit release, the sound of the great clock tower. If the huge bell rings, no matter how far away it is, the other party will notice it immediately. If you are confronted by tough warriors before invading the enemy, you will miss this unique good opportunity. You can only use normal energy storage to get close to the limit. But, can I really hide it from the master's eyes? Countless times, the master's side face flashed in my mind, and now he should have been right in front, carelessly observing the enemy's formation. This person is amazing. And brains are smarter than anyone. Will he be clear about our purpose? I resisted this dreadful doubt, stifled my shuddering breath, and charged forward with the fastest speed I could muster. Here it is. Then they came to a particularly large relic. The former amphitheater. A part of the outer wall collapsed, and from there, the auditorium and stage in the form of mortar was displayed in front of us. The diameter of the stage is about 150 m, and the auditorium, including the outer wall, reaches 30 m. In ancient times, on this island lacking in entertainment, it is not difficult to imagine that many people flocked to this wild theater to watch plays. After collapsing and falling to the ground, the faded pillars caused a slight sadness and I immediately looked away. There's no time to feel sorry now. I'll go around the theater and stop by. And in this moment, a black shadow swept across the ground, and a murderous aura descended from the top of the head. A moment before the roar and the blade were about to hit my body, I quickly raised the dagger. The attacker's twin swords collided with the goddess dagger. I couldn't stop completely. Although it was difficult to avoid direct damage, the reverse spirit thread in the body was torn off and the transparent state was forcibly released. After his body was suspended due to the impact, he took an additional kick. Coupled with the fact that my charged right hand cannot move freely, I was easily kicked away. I also flew backwards, losing half my strength, but ended up running into the amphitheater. Rolling between the collapsed outer walls, he was forced onto the stage where there was no escape. You thought you wouldn't be exposed if you leaked that bell. Was discovered. The attack was thwarted. The battle failed. History end. The only enemy is Mr. Van. And the other members? Can the situation be saved? What to do next? The secret action was realized and my heart was instantly filled with anxiety. I'm afraid he noticed my expression, and Mr. Van dissatisfiedly shouted, "I'm the only one. It has nothing to do with Hayden's instructions. You are in the desert battle. After fighting so many times, I thought you would come here. So, of course, I'm the one who sent you on your way." Was my actions noticed by him? No, he's lurking in the northwest alone, waiting for me to come. Mr. Van looked at me who was speechless, as if he was looking at a traitor. You are a traitor who was blessed by the goddess Freya but rejected the goddess's will. No matter what Ottar and the others say about me later, I will kill you with my own hands. This is your genuine anger, obsession, and break. It is my duty to look after you. Although it took place in a twisted world, we still lived in the same base and ate from the same cauldron. Fighting with each other several times at the baptism, and occasionally getting advice, made me feel an incredible connection. Although only false, in those 20 days or so, I was just like them, all fellow Freya familia. The eyes of the demi-human staring at me were painfully misshapen. My eyes also changed into painful shapes. In the blink of an eye, Mr. Van cut in, as if he wanted to get rid of those trivial feelings. Come on, Belle. If you don't hold the outstretched hand here, you will be buried. The two swords powerfully expressed their realization. The twin swords that were about to be inserted into the chest were countered by me with the goddess dagger. I can't say no. In the amphitheater, as if recreating the baptism of the past, Mr. Van's swords nigh meet. The dagger collided with both swords. Sparks flew everywhere. The high-pitched metallic sound was like a scream of pain. My attack was off target. Entanglement leads to misjudgment after misjudgment. It seems that my feelings for Mr. Van, for the Freya Familia, are much deeper than I imagined. Only one hand, are you kidding me? When did you get so good that you can despise me? Use that charge. Aim at me. Your current enemy. The bright red scream hit her cheek several times. Seeing that I still retain my power to this day, Mr. Van flew into a rage and actually killed me. The feeling in my heart that was overcome by his courage wasn't fear or anxiety, it was an emptiness and breathless sadness that made me want to scream out loud. Sublimation is really brutal. Among the numerous baptisms, LV, for Mr. Van, who fought several times, sometimes won and sometimes lost to him, was so slow. His attack is clearly visible. Although I was confused, I still managed to fend off Mr. Van's double-click. To bridge the gap between the sublimated body and the spirit, I worked with first-tier adventurers, they fought hard. It makes no sense and will lose. I clenched my teeth to the limit and took a step forward. And then it was over. I ran into the arms of Mr. Van, who was wide-eyed, and with the sheathed knife in my left hand, I made a fist and punched. As if I wanted to burn away all my sadness and sentimentality, I shouted, "Firebolt!" The left fist that hit the abdomen made a cannon sound. The crackling flames burned Mr. Van's body, carrying him away, causing his body to draw a smooth parabola and plunge into a corner of the auditorium. The half-human who fell to the ground broke free of the stone steps and fell forward. Mr. Van, whose lips were stained with blood, extended his trembling right hand to this side and simply lost consciousness. I didn't even take a random breath. This battle lasted less than a minute. LV-5 and LV-4. Two numbers say it all. It was in this bitter way that I realized how high the peak of the first-tier adventurer I had climbed was. But that's less than a minute, but it's enough to call the strongest to this place. Arbitrarily, Van. But, save me looking for it. The voice of something descending in the arena. And someone's heavy breathing. Holding my breath, I slowly turned my head. Rusty hair and eyes and an overwhelming body like a rock. He holds two large swords in both of his hands and on his back is an even larger sword that should be called a black block. Facing the wild boar man of the adventurer nicknamed King, a weak voice came out of my lips. Mr. Ottar. Strongest in town, didn't go to battle on the main battlefield, but was he looking for me from the beginning? The maximum load is still a long way off. After all, now that he's been discovered, the surprise attack has become untenable. The body that stood still like an ice sculpture gradually lost its body temperature. From the depths of the crystal, Lily's frozen breath also came. This time, the true plan failed, the battle went wrong and the only chance of victory was lost, the words, "endless end," filled our minds. Mr. Ottar didn't say a word, and examined me standing in the middle of the amphitheater with his eyes. After seeing the light particles converging on his right hand, he slightly narrowed his eyes. "So throw it away." He threw the great sword in his right hand in front of my eyes. With a crash, the great sword was thrust into a position within reach of my hand. I can't help but watch carefully. The sharpness and strength contained in it are genuine, and it is the first-tier weapon that is completely fake. It's not an attack, not even an intimidation. This strange behavior, like throwing a gun, made me even more confused, and I couldn't move, and then Mr. Ottar said, "Take it. I told you to get it. Take that great sword." My eyes widened at the brief words spoken to me. "Use all your strength," said the fierce one. "Attack with all your might." With the majesty and prestige befitting a king, he spoke these words. I'll give you a trick. As if to test me. Or rather, as if he wanted to see me clearly. Bet everything on me and attack me. Take all the strength of Bel Cranel, he said. I was speechless. Seriously. He's serious.